Scott Johnson in for Jack Pattie, and we welcome Dr. Kevin Kavanaugh of Healthwatch USA. Dr. K, good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
We're hearing a lot of people, a lot of government officials especially, say we're seeing the beginning of the end now that we've gotten approval for 2 coronavirus vaccines. Are they just blowing smoke, or could this actually be the beginning of the end of the pandemic?
No, I think it actually could be the beginning of the end. This is very good news, Scott. 2 vaccines that are 95% effective against the virus. These vaccines elicit an immune response that's specific to the spike protein, so they should be highly effective, and that should also tend to cut down on complications. And so far, these vaccines have been used in very large clinical trials, and they have an excellent safety protocol. People need to remember that the vast majority of complications occur within the first 2 months of getting a vaccine, so that these complications should have been detected, and well, except for a few very severe allergic reactions, they've been all but absent. So that is very, very good news.
For those of us who have some allergies, how do we find out what's in the thing so we know whether we need to avoid it?
Well, there's really not much in the thing at this point. Everything is made in the lab. There's no components that come from nature. You know, you hear this of, oh, it's from a monkey or a cat or whatever. It's not there. This is just a lipid capsule that's made in the lab, and in it is mRNA, which is also made in the lab. It's printed out by a machine so that they can be made rapidly if this virus does mutate. But still, every now and then, a person can become allergic to just about anything, just as some people, if you eat food or a dinner, you can become allergic. But you need to remember that you can count the number of these allergies on one hand, and so far there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these vaccines that have been given out around the world. And I should add that this allergy occurs immediately, and no one has died yet of the allergy, although they've required EpiPens and going to the hospital. And that compares to COVID-19, where we're losing 3,500 people a day some days of the week. So don't let this discourage you from getting a vaccine. If you do have an allergy that's very severe where you have to walk around with an EpiPen, I certainly would talk to your doctor. And of course, you always want to talk to your doctor about any of these complications, allergies, etc., to make sure that you're a good candidate for getting the vaccine.
We have been hearing all weekend, London's locking down, Scotland's locking down, plenty of other countries are saying no one can fly out of the United Kingdom into our country for the time being, at least until the first of the year, because the virus has mutated in the United Kingdom. Is this a concern?
Well, it is a concern, but it's nothing to panic over. This virus has mutated before. In fact, if you want to, go to Kentucky.com, and I wrote an op-ed in the Herald Leader talking about this back in November. So this has happened. In fact, the virus that infected the United States was the D614G variant, and that was believed to be more infectious than the Wuhan virus. So this is another variant. Of course, if it's more infectious, that's not good news because more people get sick and possibly more people could die. So we don't want to spread that variant, but it doesn't mean it's going to be resistant to the vaccine. That's 2 different things. You know, if a virus is more infectious, it could spread more in the air, it could float a little bit longer, it could be more resistant to the environment, have a different type of capsule, it could have more of those spiky things on its surface that allow a better chance of reattachment. So infectivity does not mean that it's going to be resistant to the vaccine. To be resistant to the vaccine, it has to mutate that spike protein in such a way that it avoids the myriad of different antibodies that the body produces to attach to the spike protein, but still keep the spike protein the same so that it can still attach to the ACE2 enzyme. And that is a tall order for a virus to do. So it is kind of locked in to that spike protein that the vaccine is making antibodies to. And this is similar to the measles virus. The measles virus mutates all the time, but yet if it mutates the spike protein, it's not infectious anymore. It can't attach. And therefore, the vaccine, although it's not effective, it doesn't have to be. The virus isn't lethal. So the measles, I am hoping, is going to set a precedent for the coronavirus that it's not going to mutate outside of the vaccine. The vaccines, I believe, are still going to be effective.
All right. How do we find Healthwatch USA?
Well, Healthwatch USA, go to healthwatchusa.org. We have an excellent video that you can click on a little link that says Australia and COVID-19. It's right under the coronavirus, top of the page. And it's healthwatchusa.org. And I should add that Australia has had approximately 12 to 13,000 deaths from the coronavirus. That's adjusted for population compared to the United States. So if we did as well as Australia, we'd have only 12 to 13,000 deaths. Absolutely phenomenal. And this is one of their heads that has worked on their COVID-19 response. Very good video.
All right, Dr. Kevin Kavanaugh, thanks as always, and we wish you a Merry Christmas.
All right, thank you, Scott.